darling, do you remember the time we got into the car accident and almost died? And then we met him, the Grim Reaper. Those were the good times. We couldn't follow him that day, but next time we'll definitely go with him. Welcome back to the Masquerade of Misery, guys. Today's topic is nostalgia. I've been thinking about it, especially these days, that technically, if you really think about it, nostalgia is also a type of suffering. And that's why I'm talking about it in the first place. Whether it's about looking at old photos, or having a conversation with your friends or family, and you bring up these old memories that you shared, or it's a song that reminds you of someone or a certain time of your life, or you have an object with you and then it has certain memories attached to it. Maybe it was a gift from someone important who is no longer with you. I could go on. Nostalgia, especially if you recall good times, is still bittersweet, because first it makes you smile. You maybe chuckle to yourself like, yeah, how much fun I had that time. Oh, how good it was. But hear the bitterness in the voice when you're like, oh, it's like a fucking cry, basically. It's like one part of you is smiling, the other is crying. And it's because the memory itself is nice, it's good to recall, it makes you feel pleasant, but then the next second the bitterness hits you, the pain, that those times are over, it's all gone. Maybe that person that you remembered is dead already, or forgot about you, or you are no longer on good terms, who knows what happened. And of course it's like, it spoils it, it spoils you the nice feeling inside you. And we are all trapped by this fucking feeling, because I'm sure that everyone has nostalgia, whether it's recalling your childhood. Actually, my generation is very well known for having nostalgia towards the 90s. Like, oh, 90s kids, at least we had a real goddamn childhood, not like the ones today. And, well, partially I agree, because I really wouldn't want to be a fucking kid nowadays. But your brain tends to make things look more beautiful with time, or less dark. I'm the type of person that also gets flooded by these memories from the past, whether cringy ones, awful ones, or good ones. But inside my head, I spend quite a lot of time in the past than I do in the present, I guess. And I don't like it, because, well, what can I do about the past? Nothing. I cannot change that. And actually it even pisses me off when even involuntarily these fucking memories attack me out of nowhere, because whether they were good ones, I don't like thinking about them too much, because what comes as next is that, oh yeah, when my best friend and I were inseparable, or the childhood when I was a little wildling, a little naughty motherfucker who could say and do whatever she wanted, well, almost all the time. And I had way more courage and bigger balls than I do nowadays. I cannot help but compare, like all of us, I believe, that we immediately start comparing these past memories with the present. And we come to the conclusion that the present sucks way more. Though it might be different for some people, because, someone maybe had an awful fucking childhood and now as an adult they are doing way better, so who knows. Depends on the person, obviously. So I can talk from my perspective mainly. I recall all these things that happened. I maybe end up smiling to myself or laughing, giggling, whatever, and then I get sad because, oh shit, it's all gone. None of those friends are with me anymore. The carefree lifestyle when I was a kid is over. I have to deal with fucking adulthood and all that bullshit that comes with it. But also it's very, very typical for the older generations. They have this nostalgia all the time, especially when they hear songs from their youth, or also they look at pictures, they watch certain movies that were famous or popular back in their days. They are always like, oh, the good old times, oh, we had it so much better than now. Well, it's kind of true, because also when my parents tell us about their young years, they had it better than our generation, let's say. Because in my parents' time, there was no issue with getting an apartment or a house. If they wanted, they could get it. Same with a job, it was unheard of that someone didn't have it. They didn't have so many worries like we do, because they could manage with their money nicely, buy the necessary things, and even those ones who weren't rich or anything. Also, my family has never been rich. Basically, we are like middle class, I mean with the lower middle class. Yet we were doing just fine. My brother and I had everything necessary, anything we needed, except for more luxurious bullshit, but we were really fine. So of course these old people or middle-aged people feel bitter because, well, they could have a lot of fun as young people. They could buy a house or an apartment without any major issue, or at least most of them. While the millennials, such as myself, we can only dream of having our own place, owning anything. We will never ever be able to buy a new fucking car, an apartment, or anything bigger. We are happy if we can even pay the rent and not starve. We are utterly fucking happy if we can buy, let's say, a new notebook or a fucking game or whatnot, or a book, or go out once in a while to a restaurant. We are already like, oh, how lucky I am. So nostalgia is kind of in everyone and in everywhere, because it feels like that we are always stuck in the past and we crave those good memories to come back, but they never will. Therefore the bitterness taints everything. So basically it's also kind of suffering. Also, when you hear a song, it brings back certain memories, even a fucking scent, like a scent of a certain food or flower or perfume. You can already associate it with someone or something that happened, some event or a place. You can even feel nostalgic towards a fucking place. And oh, how good it was when I lived there, and where I am right now sucks. Nostalgia is everywhere, it's always with us, even when we might not realize. And we can even end up getting tearful. We end up crying. And crying, well, we can cry of joy, but most of the times it happens because of some type of suffering. And nostalgia is the same, I believe, that we cry. But why do we cry? If it was such a good thing that happened to you, why do you cry? Of course, because it's gone, it's never coming back. Even if you try to recreate that memory or do that certain thing again, it won't feel the same way, because things have changed since then. It's like also when you try something for the first time and you feel that fucking thrill, the excitement, the adrenaline, dopamine, all that crap. And then you're like, I wanna do it again and again. And the more you do it, the more dull and boring it becomes. You come off the high. Same with the drugs. You try something for the first time and it hits you and like, oh shit man, oh I'm tripping and oh how cool it feels. And then the more you try it, the more fucking boring it becomes. And then your body will need more to achieve the same feeling, and then we know where it ends. It's like you just start taking and using it because your body got addicted to it, but you still feel fucking miserable. So it's a form of suffering because, yeah, it makes you smile at first, but then comes the realization that, oh shit, these memories won't repeat. These things that happened, they were so good, but they are gone. Maybe even the people you shared that memory with are also gone for whatever reason, be it death or simply just the relationship got cold. They don't give a shit about you anymore, or you don't give a shit about them anymore. Who knows? So that's it. Nostalgia is a pain in the fucking ass. Maybe it can result in some great art being created because, you know, nostalgic people, artists can also express it in a beautiful way, in the paintings, music, songs, anything. But yes, that's how I feel about nostalgia, especially if it happens to you too much, if you always live in the past, like I tend to, mainly involuntarily, then it will just end up torturing you. Because, oh, how good it was, oh, I wish those times would come back and all this shit. However, that's one thing that I don't wish those times to come back actually, because it would mean that most of my life would still be ahead of me, even more than now, and I would have to go through so much, but so much fucking shit and suffering once again. So I don't want to repeat those things that happened because they would just pass again and I would keep being nostalgic about them. So I think that's it for today, guys, because I don't want to run my mouth too much about this same topic and I will just end up saying random shit and not be consistent. And what can I say other than praise the Reaper? So I think that in my case it also happens a lot. Unfortunately, even involuntarily.